Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. Insha'Allah ta'ala, we are going to go through the next lesson of Ajrumiyyah. And as we said in our previous session, it is Al-Kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wad'i. If you go back to the previous lesson, you find that Al-Kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wad'i. That speech is utterance which is compounded. At the same time, it has to make sense, not just it benefits, but it makes sense. بالوضع إما بالوضع العربي or in a syntactical manner. Like basically, it has to be in the right order for it to make sense, so that it can be a complete sentence, and that's how you form a speech. Okay. Now, in the Arabic language, you notice that all of the Arabic words, as we said, they all fall under these three types of words: الاسم والفعل والحرف. لذلك صاحب الكتاب المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى نفعنا الله به وبعلومه في الدارين, he said وأقسامه ثلاثة, and it divides to three. They are الاسم or اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى. It is the noun, the ism is the noun. And if you look at the board, here it is. Al-ismu, as you can see, al-ismu. I'm just going to circulate it for you. No, not highlight. Yeah. Al-ismu. Al-ismu, we explained in our previous class that كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها ولم تقترن بزمان. It is a word which has a meaning of its own. Basically, it contains a meaning, that word. And, or in other words, if you want to make it very formal, we would say that indicates to a meaning which comes from itself, but it is not tied by time. Basically, it is permanent. It stays like that, which is different from a verb. فالفعل, we said that كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها لكنها اقترنت بزمان. It is a word which has a meaning of its own, but at the same time it is tied by time. وقلنا أن أقسام الفعل ثلاثة. That the types of verbs, basically not verbs of time specifically, there are three. So عندك الفعل الماضي, you have the past, والفعل المضارع, the current, والفعل الأمر والمستقبل, the future and commanding tense. So you have those type of types, and we can get into the tazkiyah, tasawwuf bit of this. Like this is not the time for it, and it's not the class for it. We just focus on the nahu that we have, the grammar, which brings us to number three. Number three, as you already know, it is al-harfu. Al-harfu, we said that it's a preposition. This one, it has a meaning but not on its own. It receives a meaning, or it gives meaning when it's tied together with the other two. Understood? When it's tied together with the other two, either a noun or a verb, either a noun or a verb. And with this as well, lakin, al-muallif rahimahullah ta'ala, as this is a beginner's text, he doesn't mention it here. He doesn't mention it here. If you go through, let's say, for example, the hashia, the explanation of the explanation itself, sharhu sharhi yani, basically the hashia, which gives you even a depth and a deeper understanding, in-depth understanding of grammar. But for example, like Hashiyatul Kafrawi, if you go through that, there's another hashia, I forgot the name of it. If I do remember, I'll let you know, inshallah. Lakin, you notice that they explain, even when it comes to ahruf, these ahruf, there are three types as well. But we don't want to get into all of that. It's too difficult. What I want us to focus on is understanding the nouns and the verbs and the prepositions. The purpose of this journey is not to literally teach you Arabic and then say you become a master, but it's to give you a taste of what it feels to be good in Arabic. Which means to say, one needs to go through the stage of learning vocabulary. Like basically, as I'm speaking right now, these are literally vocabularies lined up as I speak. The way I explain myself, the way I speak and I express myself, these are words you need to learn. You listen to them, you practice them by uttering them, you write them, and you're capable of expressing. Once you understand that, you can speak, you can utter, you know exactly what word stands for what, then you need to be able to use them in the right order, in the correct manner. ليس كذلك. And grammar, as we said, that's exactly what it does. لكن grammar does not start with just focusing with the end of words, but actually focuses at the beginning to show you what you need in order for you to get to that level. Now you start putting the details together of your words that you might be uttering or writing or any other form of what you might be doing, inshallah ta'ala. So if you look at al-ism, if you come back to the Arabic book again, al-ismu, we said over here, if you look up here, it's alamatul ismi. Alamatul ismi. What does alamatul ismi mean? The signs of nouns. It means the signs, the, where is my pen? Draw, yes. The, I don't know what's going on. The signs, yes, hopefully it works, of nouns. That's what it means. Alamatul ism, if you look carefully over here again, alamatul ism, it means the signs of nouns, the signs of nouns. That is to say, these words which you have no idea of, you do not know the meaning of them, you only see them, for example, even when you hear them, you're not sure. Obviously, it's very difficult to hear them and understand immediately. But remember this, لطالب العلم, for the student of knowledge, it does not suffice for them to just be able to speak Arabic or maybe to hear Arabic by listening to lectures. You should be able to write Arabic. You should be able to read Arabic, because أنت على حاجة ماسة, you literally you have the need, a very vital need of being able to read a book. This book is in Arabic, أليس كذلك? You should be able to read this. You should be able to understand what you are reading, because once you do that, it gives you access to ilm, and it is much easier for you to even understand the sheikh when the sheikh is teaching you, or maybe you're learning from a class. هكذا. And without the mafatih of ilm, which begins with the Arabic language, not only what if you can speak it and maybe listen to it, but being able to read it and write it. If you do not have that, I'm telling you, knowledge is difficult for you to get. You'll be able to listen to it and get the ilm. You might be able to speak to the sheikh and get the ilm. Like, in the best of what you can get is accessing the turath, the knowledge that is there written by the ulama centuries and a millennium that has passed, by having that one tool, especially by learning that specifically in the Arabic language. Bear that in mind. Now, when you come here, alamatul ism, these nouns, basically, you can identify them without knowing the meaning. You can identify them without knowing the meaning. And that literally takes you somewhere. It sparks the desire of, okay, understanding. If I can spot them at one, then what does it mean exactly? What do I get out of it? One of the signs that says here is at-tanween. The other sign is al-khafdu. The other sign is ahruf al-jar. And the other sign is lam al-ta'rif, or al. And the reason why you can see that I separated them is that, remember, all of this is inspired by التحفة السنية شرح مقدمة الآجرومية لمحمد محي الدين رحمه الله تعالى, للشيخ العلامة محمد محي الدين. He رحمه الله تعالى, when he wrote this text, and the ulama today, what they've done mushajjarat. They've given us those trees that literally drop down when you provide a title and all of that. I believe you understand what I mean. And when I looked, I said, how do I put this together? Because they are the signs. They all fall under that one tree. Lakin each one of them go separately. And then when you look into the text, you find that, mashallah, they've done a fantastic job. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them for the job they've done. The not the author himself, but also the ones who literally put together the book, who published the book, the publishers basically. فماذا, what does at-tanween mean? At-tanween is having, let's use the whiteboard. At-tanween is having, look at this line, فتحتين كسرتين ضمتين. فتحتين كسرتين ضمتين. But where? Let me give you an example. You have the name Muhammad. You have the name Muhammad. Okay, Muhammad. Muhammadun. Where is the tanween if you look at it properly? Where is the tanween if you look at it properly? Perhaps if you're watching this right now, inshallah ta'ala, do comment on the comment section and let me know. Where is the tanween? Is the tanween at the beginning or in the middle or in the third letter or the fourth letter? Look carefully. Where is the tanween? That's number one. And the second sign, as you saw, we said here, the second sign would be الخفض أليس كذلك الخفض. If you pay attention carefully, الخفض is the second sign, which means to say الخفض means, let me just put a line here. الخفض is literally just a kasra. But look at this word also. Kita, let me change the color. Yes, kitabi. Kitabi. Understood? Kitabi mathala. That's a word. Now, where is the kasra? Where is the kasra? At the end. Similar to Muhammad. Similar to Muhammad at the end. That's why when you look at this categorization or separation of these signs, you understand clearly now that the the signs which are at the end of the words, the end of the nouns, they are separated, which mean that these signs you'll find them at the end of a word. At the end of a word. The moment you see them at the end, you know that immediately this is a noun. And I will try to make it clear for you to understand how, because some of these signs might be difficult for some of you who are trying to delve into the world of Arabic grammar. And when you look at the Quran maybe or another text, you'll be wondering, thinking, I saw a kasra at the end of this word. Would this be a noun? It depends on how you saw it, because not every word that you would literally see and then you say that this is a noun. La. You say that this is a noun, which means to say, inshallah ta'ala, by the end of this class, either join our mailing list, or you can go to Telegram, any one of these, inshallah, and soon enough we'll be switching to another platform. We'll let you know. You'll get these notes together, number one. Number two, you want to just get the notes, you'll get more like a mini homework to test you, or maybe for the examples that you need in order to understand how the signs work. Is that very clear? And through that, you'll be able to take your Arabic from one level to another. And remember this, you may join a community where you don't have to walk alone. You can join this community for more than 120 people together now, inshallah ta'ala, and Allah will make the numbers grow for more students to work together so that all of you can teach one another, not just depending on the teacher. As you compete with one another, as you work together, you notice that you elevate your understanding of the language itself. So you'll receive the notes and also not only the handout, but also some sort of homework and explanation which gives you an understanding or a breakdown of how these signs work. And the more you use them, the more you realize that you unlock your journey of studying Arabic, inshallah ta'ala, especially Arabic grammar. Now, if you come back to the Arabic book again, basically Arabic, these notes, أحرف الجر is another one, but I would leave أحرف الجر for the end. I would take لام التعريف, which is much more close to these ones here. If you pay attention carefully, look. We said that these two signs are at the end. أليس كذلك? This one, for example, at the end, isn't it? And this one, or maybe this one, at the end. Now, the lam التعريف that you saw, which is this, the lam التعريف, this one, you see it at the beginning, as alif and lam, like this. And how do you see it? مثلا, the same word al-kitab, you will see it as al-kitab, al-kitab. Notice? Understood? For example, if you have the word qalam, pen, let's say pen, you have the word qalam. I wouldn't write it with black, with red, this one. I would write the word qalam like this. And if you want to add the alif and lam, you'll say alif and lam. Alif and lam. Al-qalam. Understood? Now, something I want to bring to your attention, inshallah ta'ala, is that as you are learning, as you are learning Arabic, you notice we said tanween. You notice we said kasra. You notice we're talking about alif and lam and that. For some of the viewers, or maybe some of the people that are learning, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you prosperity in your life and also in your journey of seeking knowledge, or maybe seeking to learn about this religion. You notice that these seem a little bit alien. You might not understand them perhaps. What is tanween? What is kasra? What is harakat basically? How do the alphabets look like? How do I pronounce them? Because why am I mentioning this? In our program, the Arabic Boot Camp, which we was 6 weeks, but as we did it, we now decided to extend it and make it at least 10 weeks so that students can have ample time to learn even more. And after that, inshallah, comes another stage. Now, this other stage, once you've literally dipped your feet in the language and now you taste the sweetness of it, you would want to carry on. And for the one who decides that's it's enough, at least they have the bare bones of the language and they can use that to somehow decipher something a little bit, or maybe understand something as they read along in the Quran, or maybe in any other text that they do so. But what we've noticed that we put as a condition, students must not join the program or the course until they are sure they can at least read some sort of Arabic. You notice that some students joined and they don't know how to read. So now it becomes, when we have the one-to-one sessions, rather than learning together the Arabic that we are supposed to learn from the program or the course, we are now teaching each other how to read from the basics. Do you notice the difference? Rather than having to learn Arabic and progress, you're starting from the basics, which becomes more difficult for the teacher now to even teach the student. What do you do? Which makes me understand that with me and my team, the way that we should be moving forward is students need to be tested before they even start. If the program or course requires them to be able to read some sort of Arabic, you pass that test, then the doors are open. You can't pass that test, it becomes a bit difficult for us to accept students. So until you qualify, for example, that's one qualification. You pass that test, alhamdulillah. You don't, then that's a different set of course, which means bi'idhnillah al-kareem, soon enough we're going to start in the same channel for free. Every person that wants to start and embarking on their journey of Arabic for free will start from zero, from the pronunciation of the alphabets and how do we put the alphabets together, basically phonics, and how to use the harakat, and how do you break them down when you cannot read them, basically like a student who just started Ahsan al-Qawaid. Yes, it's part of Arabic. You have to understand that. Not just Arabic. It's the key to understanding the language. You cannot just start by learning كيف حالك, كيف أخبارك, من أين أنت, أنا من كذا وكذا. Okay, that's good. That's lovely. But what's beyond that then? How do you learn the language? You should start somewhere. ليس كذلك. Because look at, I'll tell you this for free. All of the Arabic courses that you will learn out there, they will give you the visuals, which means they will give you the notes, they will give you the handouts, they will give you the text, and each one of these require reading. Even if you listen to the muallim as they teach, but you need to be able to read on your own. You should be able to understand, to know what's being read, let alone understanding what's being. You should know, okay, if hadha is written, you can read hadha. If dhalika is written, you can read dhalika. This is besides what we are learning, but I have to mention it so it can be very clear to you what you are doing over here, inshallah ta'ala. For this is not a beginner level in terms of how do I read the basics. La, Habibi, no, it's not. This is a level where if a student at least have some grounding of the Arabic language, then now they can dive into this. Hence, we're teaching it in English. We don't want to teach it in Arabic. If we were to teach this in Arabic, then we've literally blocked out so many people from learning. Well, the reason we're teaching it in English to give access to those who at least started and embarked on the journey of Arabic, inshallah ta'ala. فَلِذَلِكَ, look at these signs, look at this on the whiteboard. Al-Kitab, Alif and Lam, for example. Now, those are alphabets. Now, you will understand if I say, what is Alif, Alif and Lam? You already can imagine it. أليس كذلك? So, if you look carefully, Alif and Lam at the beginning. Al-Qalam. Al-Qalam. Isn't it? And then we said, Ahruf al-Jar. Isn't it? Now we're looking at أحرف الجر. أحرف الجر are different from الخفض. They are different from الخفض. Why do I say so? Because أحرف الجر is this. Letters or prepositions which cause the noun to end. In simple words, this is not the exact meaning. I'm trying to simplify this as much as I could, because I could tell you in what state, but I don't want to mention that to you right now, because that becomes a bit more advanced. Remember, this is for beginners. To end with a kasra. Honestly, this doesn't justify it, but I'm just trying to give you an understanding. But you'll come to understand what exactly we're referring to in the next coming lessons if you understand this foundation, inshallah. So prepositions which cause the noun to end with a kasra. When does this preposition appear? Where does it appear? The preposition appears before the noun. Before the noun. Something that I want to bring to your attention, which you notice that over here in the notes as well, we did not write them down. We did not write them down, but I want to bring it to your attention is this. Understand, these signs which you see, you will say, okay, I know that this comes at the beginning, this comes at the end, and you said this one comes before. I want you to scrutinize things and think of them like that. What do I mean by before? What do I mean by after? What do I mean by what is it? At the beginning, for example, at the end, at the beginning, before, and that. What I mean is this: when I say before, for example, in this case, it is not attached to the noun. It depends on what type of noun, but we're talking about the normal nouns such as Muhammad, Kitab, Daftar, Kob, Mil'aqah, Ma'idah, Tawilah, Kursi, for example, like those. Those are nouns we are mentioning, objects or names of towns. It depends on what we're mentioning. But we're not talking about you, I, for example, him, her. We're not talking about those pronouns. No, we're talking about only nouns, direct nouns, which are very clear as day, like that. As I've already mentioned two examples. Those type of nouns, these prepositions come before the nouns. Is that very clear? And when we say at the beginning, it means that it is attached with the word. At the end, it means it's in the word itself. Now, let me make that very clear. Look at this. We said the first sign is at-tanween. At-tanween is fathatain, kasratain, dhammatain. In this case, it is attached with the word at the end, such as we said, Allah, daftar. I'll use the word daftar. Daftar means exercise book. Okay? Daftarun, daftarin can be daftaran, but writing wise, daftaran will be different. It wouldn't be like this. So I'll delete it. Daftarun, for example, daftarun or daftarin. You notice that the tanween is at the very end. أليس كذلك? Another one, al-khafd. We said al-khafd means kasra at the end, isn't it? An example we can use is طاولة. طاولة. طاولة can be your desk. Okay, your desk. طاولة or الطاولة مثلا الطاولة. الطاولة. Understood? الطاولة. Now notice the end, it ended with a kasra, أليس كذلك? Now, like that. And the other ones, they come at the beginning. We said alif and lam, مثلا, they are المعلم. المعلم, the teacher. Understood? The teacher. Beyond that, the other one is أحرف الجر. أحرف الجر. Look, أحرف الجر. أحرف الجر, we said these are prepositions that come at the beginning, basically they come before the noun. أحرف الجر, and they are min. I'll just give you four for now so you can go with them. Min, ila, an, ala. Min, ila, an, ala. Why am I mentioning these ones to you specifically? Because in the examples that we will give, not here, otherwise it's going to be such a long class and we don't want to make it so long. In the examples that you find that one of the examples, the very first ayah of Surah Al-Isra, Allah says, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjidi. Look, min al من المسجد الحرام من المسجد الحرام. Yes. أيوة. من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى. إلى المسجد الأقصى. Okay. من المسجد. Now look at this. Min is a preposition that causes the noun to end with a kasra. Look at this. The noun ended with a kasra. ليس كذلك؟ إلى المسجد. إلى المسجد. Like this. Notice? And there is إلى. Ila. So if ila comes before a word which you see in the Quran or in a book, then you must know that it's a noun. But you have to look carefully. You have to look carefully. So for example, if I tell you now, if I tell you ila, ila, and then the other word comes in as fa'ala, ila fa'ala, مثلا like this. These are two words. أليس كذلك? These are two words. But then, does this word in particular, does it contain the meaning of a noun? Does it give a noun sign? Even if you don't know the meaning of it, does it give a noun sign? Answer is no, it doesn't. It does not. It doesn't give a noun sign. So if you look at the word, you see, okay, if I write al-aqsa, مثلا like this, is this word a noun? I can say yes, because look, Alif and Lam at the beginning is the sign of a noun. So now I realize, oh, so this is a noun because it has the sign of a noun. That's number one. Number two, مثلا. Now, another example is, for example, if إلى, let's say, عن البيت. عن البيت. مثلا, like that. Okay? عن, from. Okay, means from. That's one of the meanings. لكن عن البيت, how many signs do you see now? How many signs do you see? Look. No, I'm supposed to be using red. Alif and Lam at the beginning and Kasra at the end. Alif and Lam at the beginning and Kasra at the end. Which means some words can contain two signs. Not just one, two signs. But just to bring to your attention the following. Look. Alif and Lam. If it comes at the beginning of a word or noun, specifically, the noun cannot end with a Tanween. It's as simple as that. Cannot end with a Tanween. So, for example, now what I'm telling you, what I'm giving you right now, these are things you wouldn't find you wouldn't find perhaps in the sharh, in the explanation of these texts. You wouldn't find that. You wouldn't even find, for example, the extra detail which I'm giving you, such as, let's say, La ilaha illallah. I just gave you an example. The meanings, yes, the meanings of these prepositions, such as the sometimes you might not even find them until you go into some greater depth, and especially if you read the Matn itself, you wouldn't find you wouldn't find all of these. What does a tanween mean, and all of that stuff. And even if you do find, you already find deeper explanation. For example, for example, when we come to discuss about the preposition, you wouldn't find all of those details there. What would you find? You find only what the beginner student needs to learn. That's it. Now, for example, with this case today of the noun, there are other signs that we left out, because if you read in Alfiyat ibn Malik, المصنف صاحب المتن رحمه الله تعالى, Ibn Malik himself, what does he say? He says, he says بالجر والتنوين والندى وال ومسند الاسم تمييز حصل. The noun is known by the jar and the tanween and the nida and al. ومسند الاسم تمييز حصل. بالجر, we mentioned that. والتنوين والندى we didn't mention. Al we did mention. ومسند الاسم, مسند الاسم. So there's two that we are missing out. These two are musnad, knowing that it's a musnad al-ism, and then we are missing out the nida. Okay, the summoning tool that we use. Ya fulan, we're leaving that out. Why? Because it's not part of this. The beginner doesn't need to go through all of that. You just need to learn this. And what I've done, even if the text mentions all of the, not all, some of the prepositions which are known as huruf al-khafd or ahruf al-khafd, these ahruf, what did I do? I literally reduced them to just 4 so you can get the basic understanding. For further explanation of this, if you want so, to get the other type of prepositions, do either subscribe to our mailing list or you can join Telegram, either one of these two. What would you do? Inshallah ta'ala, you could be able to receive the handouts. This one that you will see on the board here, the whiteboard. And on top of that, you'll be able to receive, inshallah ta'ala, some breakdown of how these signs work, Bi-idhnillah al-Kareem, and a little homework to get you moving, for you to understand, okay, how do I use these signs, inshallah. We can go on with the signs of verbs and the signs of prepositions, but the class will be extremely long, so we would suffice with what we have given over here, although this in itself is a شرح مخل, شرح مختصر جدا. It's a شرح which I call it to be, not just to be short, it's missing out on so many things. I cannot give you everything, because if I give you too much, it will be too much, overwhelming. What I want you to take right now is these are the signs of the noun, and these signs, this is how I would spot them out when I'm reading. That will spark the desire of trying to understand what do they mean. Such as if you are to see what we said over here, for example, alif and lam, if you see alif and lam, if you see, let's say, the tanween, tanweenat, and if you see the kasra, like these, where do you spot them? You understand that? Once you can do that with the extra help, inshallah ta'ala, it becomes much, much easier. And as we said, bi'idhnillah, if you didn't understand what tanween is, what kasra is, or maybe the huruf and all of that, bear this in mind. That's another level which is different from this, which is lower than this. And that is understanding the very basics of Arabic, which inshallah ta'ala soon enough we'll let you know when we'll be starting this channel, teaching from zero, how to learn the alphabets, also how to put them together, like for example phonics in that case, and being able to use the harakat and the vowels and all of that, so that you can be able to put those words together. Once you could learn that, it becomes much, much easier, inshallah ta'ala, to delve into other levels of this journey, bi'idhnillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this journey prosperous and fruitful. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.